Yeah.
Oh, would I have
Yeah.
changed? First of all, you just got done telling me that you're. See, this is the way you talk, dude. This is the way you talk.
This
You
is the way
sit here
I
and
talk.
you're making it sound like you're challenging something that I'm saying. I tell you, I didn't say that. He goes, I know you didn't say it. I know you didn't say it, young man.
When did I say you said it?
Well, just now you're going back to it. You're like, you have a better
Right?
chance.
You and your crew said it,
Um,
Kosho. You and your crew.
Xanax said it. I
Yeah,
expressed myself, and I agree with him. However, I'm not
exactly.
going to be as foolish as expressing that exactly the way he is without the full explanation for what exactly I'm saying, because without
Because it's
completing.
foolish. It's foolish to say that water runs uphill via the gravity. I know it's a very foolish thing to say, and I don't blame you for not committing yourself to that. Oh, that was a very, very wise choice. Very wise choice.
Well, I got berated more than Xanax did, so
Yeah, but you were trying to stick up for your buddy while trying not to look dumb. But
it's not about
I
looking
don't know if you
dumb
were
though.
successful. But Left Lane was the only baller that said no. I can't agree with that. Even Left Lane said no. I don't want any part of this.
Yep.
It's not about looking dumb. It's about like in these communications. Anytime you're communicating with somebody, first of all, the purpose usually is for to communicate something, to communicate some idea or something. So it doesn't really make sense if I'm saying something purposely to confuse somebody or mislead them or
Look,
whatever.
look, if you are going to communicate such ridiculous ideas, you're better off sticking to outer space where we can't prove it one way or the other. Right? It's a safer bet.
What Zanuck was saying was 100% correct, and
It
I proved it.
was
I
not.
actually did prove it. I showed you several maps that showed you
No,
exactly where he was
no,
talking about and exactly what it
no,
stated.
no, 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 no. The only way you will move anything is with the application of pressure, right? Whether that's head pressure, right? Wind, maybe salinity in there, heat, but with the application of pressure, that's the only way you will move anything. The capillary action, which I did mention, uh, the only way, Kosho, the only way.
It's funny how they laugh at us.
I know.
Like this mole man is laughing at me. And I replied to him, pray to your shadow giants. You are now traveling at 1.5 million miles an hour. I can
Oh
laugh at
man.
you all day long, bro. Without even breaking sweat. Like sitting here on my chair in front of my house on my balcony, laughing at you, bro.
Mm-hmm. I told my wife that apparently rivers are flowing uphill now, babe, and she just looked at me like I was going insane. Like I was
I
going
know.
insane. I know.
Did she try to get you help?
You see, they think we need help.
No,
Exactly.
This is the
he was
killer.
just crying out for help just now. He just said his wife thinks he might be insane.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I suggested that water runs uphill because of gravity.
Well, maybe she'd been thinking it for a while. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, she was under the impression that all gravity did, right, was pull things down, not up and away, over and down, all at the same time.
She's a pretty smart lady, and you have.
See,
And I congratulate you.
yeah, what you did with gravity, you put it in a superposition. It's both up and down, all at the same time.
Now we put it in reverse
Yeah,
cowgirl position.
yeah. Bloody superposition. That's what you did.
No, man. So I gotta tell you, man. I gotta tell you.
What? What are you
You're
going to
probably
tell
the
me?
smartest Australian in here right now. Okay. Probably.
Well, I'm the only Australian in here, so thanks for the backhanded compliment.
Well, that's not a backhanded compliment. I thought there was a bunch in there. I thought there was like at least a whole bunch. Okay. You know how many were in here? Okay, but regardless, you are Bandsaw, and I mean that. I mean that sincerely. And so I'm gonna express this to you one more time, Bandsaw, and just pretend I'm a woman, okay? A beautiful woman, and I'm a stranger, okay? Because you might be more receptive, okay? But there's no contradiction in what Zanik's saying, because ultimately what he's saying is that whereas the way that water flows is going to follow the geoid, because the geoid model is basically the shape that gravity would create. Basically, if the water was a fluid, if the Earth was a fluid, it would almost look exactly like the geoid, because it'd be a modeling the equipotential.
Hold on there, Mr. Kosho. Doesn't your model say that gravity will form a sphere in anything? Like you show water as an example.
I
So
don't
how
know.
come all the planets are a sphere and Earth is this weird shaped geoid? How did that happen?
I'm not sure that there's a definition of spheres or gravity, either of the two that say that. But regardless, it is true that yes, spherical shapes are going to be, because they're it's like the equipotential. If you have a point source at the center, and you have the equipotential, from that point source being the same in all directions, well, that's going to create a sphere. And the truth is, if the whole world was liquid, um, it wouldn't. The geoid that is known, it actually probably would look more like a more perfect sphere. Maybe no, not a sphere, but a more perfect spheroid, actually, because there still would have the bigger part below the equator. But that's not the point. The point is that the geoid model is modeling exactly that, the equipotential force. And so on that model, you will always see gravity going towards, the center of mass, or the center of gravitation. Okay. But however,
The perfect sphere model is gone out the window?
no, it's just never been in the window. So just hold on 1 second. Because I got to get this across to Banshaw. I'm a beautiful woman, and I won't be for long. Okay, but yeah. So that's the geoid model, and what your wife said, and what you think is true about that model. Gravity goes downhill. That's true. However, the model that is often used by GPS, for example, and by a bunch of other things to reference elevation is not using that geoid model. It's using a slightly different model, which is the ellipsoid model, which is basically sorry, someone's calling me. Which is basically let's say the mean sea level at the North Pole and the mean sea level at the equator. They're obviously going to be different because of the bulge and stuff like that. And if you took these two differences and you smoothed it out, it would make an ellipsoid that was not exactly perfectly spheroid, but was bigger than the equator, but smooth. And for this reason, there's portions on these two models, the geoid and ellipsoid, that don't agree with each other, and that disagreement will display itself with these anomalous sort of scenarios where water could be going downhill because it does in a geoid model, but the elevation is actually increasing because the ellipsoid model is actually getting further from the center at that exact location. So it's not.
Do you think that you made any sense in anything that you just said now?
Yes.
Made sense to me.
Makes sense
Hey,
to you
Blue.
too, Blue.
Hey, Blue.
And
Which part, Blue?
and Essie, if the Earth was a totally homogeneous object, and if it were stationary, not rotating, then yes, it would be a perfect spheroid, a perfect sphere. The reason it is not is simply because it's not homogeneous. Density of it varies from place to place, and it rotates.
So the moon is a perfect sphere, but
No,
the object right next to it in the same space didn't turn out to be a perfect sphere, which you guys say is a perfect sphere, like a cue ball. I mean, come on, Blue. What are we supposed to believe?
oh, come on, SC. The moon is not a perfect sphere either.
Well, it's not a geoid, is it?
It's got anomalies just like the Earth does.
It's got anomalies like the Earth. Have you seen how the geoid looks like?
Have you realized yet that change that you see is multiplied by thousands and thousands in order to make it more sensible to you visually?
So
That the real difference is very slight. You would not be if we drew it to scale, you wouldn't be able to see it.
so another thing that is, but we can't see it. I mean, come on, man. This is like
Well,
fantastical things, Blue, that you
I'm
want us to
sorry.
believe.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it works, SC.
We have a curve, but we can't see it. We have a geoid, but we can't see it. We have a hump, but we can't see it.
We
I
can
mean,
measure it. We can measure it, SC, and we have measured it. And the difference between the maximum difference between the ellipsoid and the geoid is on the order of a couple of hundred meters. It's not much difference. Not on
yeah, but
something
you
the
say,
size of the Earth.
don't you say there's a 40-mile bulge at the equator of water? Something like that?
And the geoid does the same thing that the ellipsoid does.
So you're saying that the ground underneath has a 40-mile bulge as opposed to all the other
No, we say
ground?
it's eccentric. It's not a bulge. The diameter, the shape of it going north and south is elliptical. The shape of it going east and west is pretty spherical.
So what's the relationship between the bulge of the water at the equator and the ground underneath it, as opposed to other parts of the earth, of the ground? Is there a difference?
Is there a difference between the water and the ground? Of course.
No. The ground at the equator where the bulge is most prominent, 40 miles or so, the
We
ground
don't have
underneath it in relationship to the ground in other parts of the earth,
we don't
is
have
it
any
higher there?
we don't have any such thing as an average as a mean ground level. We've got mean sea level. The ground, the sea level is following the geoid.
Understood. But how do you think the ground would look like? Like, let's say we take all the water out, right? And we have something like the moon. Would the ground be higher there where the bulge is? Or would it be the same in relationship to other parts of the earth? In your opinion, of course, I mean, there's no way to know, right?
Well, you're talking about. I don't know how you even. I don't know how to even make that sort of comparison. The ground has terrain. You know how do you measure it?
Well, if we have uphill flowing rivers, right? I'm trying to wrap my head around how this would work since you came in to chime in on that, right? How would the uphill, because Kosho says it's due to the geoid, right?
No, I didn't. I said it's due to you comparing two models. It's not a contradiction. You're using two models to make a statement, and for that reason, something anomalous might appear to be happening, but it's just because you're comparing two models that at that location disagree with each other.
So what's making the water flow uphill, gentlemen? Bottom line, what's doing that?
I just said it to you, but I researched the other day, dude, and this is how Brenda understood it. Do you see the dotted lines? Dotted lines, you see the location? There's a start
Yeah.
point, and then there's a point closer to the right. If you notice, the ellipsoid is the green, and the sphere is there just for reference, because the sphere can show you when the sphere, or the ellipsoid, I'm sorry, is getting further from the center. So since it's getting further from the sphere as it moves to the right up there, that means the ellipsoid is getting further from the center, which means that if you were measuring elevation based on that, the elevation is increasing. So the elevation is increasing if you're referencing the ellipsoid model. However, you can see if you're referencing the geoid model, it's going downhill at that location. So you'd be going downhill, and if you were using GPS to measure your elevation, it would actually be telling you at that location you're increasing elevation, and that would be the contradiction you're talking about right now. But it's really just a disagreement between those two models.
That makes no sense, bro. It doesn't matter what model or what words you say. Water cannot flow uphill if it starts off at a lower elevation. Water does not flow uphill, Kosho.
I agree with you.
Doesn't matter model. We're talking reality. Show me somewhere on Earth where water at a lower elevation runs at a higher elevation, like Zanuck says at the St. Lawrence River. Show me that spot. I'm close to it. I can go there and I can film it for you. That's in my neck of the woods.
I'm going to show you a picture, okay? This picture's not one that I made. It's actually a real picture, okay? But it doesn't matter at this point, I see, because I feel like I'm not the best person at explaining things, but I have said it in what it, to me would seem like, ways that you could accept or whatever. If you won't accept it, then it's just what can I do?
I can't accept your fantasy, bro. I can't accept paradoxes like you guys do. I can't. I mean, if it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous.
There are no true paradoxes. Like in this case, it's a seeming paradox, and I'm trying to show you that it's not actually a paradox. That it's really just a disagree. It's just there's two things being. It's like This is a really horrible example, okay? And actually, it's a little bit insensitive, but I'll do it anyways. Like a transgender person, okay? Like someone who's born a man and they become a woman, whatever. There's statements they could make that would seem anomalous or that would seem contradictory or seem whatever. But it's really just a disagreement between the gender they were born as and the gender they are now. Okay? It's not an actual contradiction. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Kosho, of all the explanations I've ever heard you make,
I'm just trying to think of one, and
I think you should give this one up, bro. Just accept that it's ridiculous and, just move on, man. That's it.
Well, I'm not really, like I said, tied to trying to convince you one way or thing or another.
DM Zanuck and tell him, bro, Ixnay Arnie Bay, cut it out. They're making us look bad.
I don't think he's making anybody look bad, but I told him what he's doing is, it's not, in certain communities or something like that, he could say that. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson does this a lot, like where he says stuff that he's pointing out something that is interesting in the way you say it. But however, if you say it in certain circles, this is going to cause them to completely deny everything you're saying because it is unbelievable when worded without the explanation.
I don't know, Coach Man. I don't know how you can defend this. I mean, seriously.
Here's an elevation profile for the St. Lawrence River. I don't know if you can see it or not. This is flowing towards the right side of the pictures. Is flowing towards the sea, obviously, right?
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Do you think these elevations are incorrect?
Go there, SC. Take a
Show
video
me the spot.
of it.
Tell me the spot, and look, if it's flowing uphill, we're gonna make a killing, bro.
It's not that.
Yeah.
Uphill
like,
river rafting. Think of it, Bandy. I bet you'll come from Australia.
Man. It's like have you ever heard the term paddling a river uphill? There we go. That's exactly. Watch this river flow uphill. All you got to do, SC, is just go down there, right? Film it. Take your spirit level, right? Put it near the surface, right? Get that grade, work it out, see if in fact it is pointing uphill.
But you guys want this to be silly.
No,
you want it to be silly, so
no,
you won't.
No. You're saying it flows uphill, so it's not silly. you should be able to test these things. Go down there with a spirit level, put it on the surface of the water, right, and go boom. Yep, there we go.
Done that.
Uphill.
I've done that here. I've taken a
You
map that measures that.
you
It gives you
you have not taken a spirit level down to the river and checked it. You have not
I
done that.
have gone to the river digitally and seen what the elevation profile is online. I have done that though, and it's agreeing with the statement Zanuck made, which agrees with the principle I'm discussing. So
Huh?
it's just so strange.
It is so strange that you are fighting this so hard. I agree. It's very strange.
Let's ask this then. Let's pretend my model's fake, geoid is fake, then the spheroid is fake, ellipsoid, so everything's fake. But these are still geometric principles, physical principles of objects that don't exist in reality, but they do behave the way we're saying they behave. So the geoid is an equipotential surface or whatever. That's referencing the equipotential forces of the gravity or whatever. And the ellipsoid is an ellipsoid, right? So these things are true, okay, in this conceptual world. And so in the picture I've drawn there, in this conceptual world, where the ellipsoid is what's being used to determine your elevation. So wherever you are in reference to the ellipsoid will be what is given to you as your elevation, okay? And the geoid, let me see. Yeah, the geoid is referencing gravity, or not gravity, but yeah, where water would flow. So wherever water would naturally flow. So you would see in that description that I just gave you, if these are overlapping as they are, and one's being used to show where water will flow, and the other's being used to give you your elevation, you can see that there's plenty of places where water would be flowing one way, and elevation would be going the other way, right? You can see that clearly.
No chance in hell.
You can't do that. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even say this was reality. I literally just described what those two conceptual pictures were, and you're still denying it.
Oh, you mean in fantasy? Okay, yeah. Okay,
In
I can, if
fantasy,
it's in
the way I just
fantasy, well,
described
I'll
it,
agree
you
with you.
agree that
Sure, that could happen.
yes, there's a hill going down, the water would be flowing downhill in some places, and where the elevation would be increasing in some places on the
Hey,
at the
I
same
see a
place.
leprechaun over there. Is that a leprechaun?
Oh, but I just wanted to make sure that the principle can at least be agreed upon, right, regardless if it's true or not.
Kosho, you have to go into fantasy to explain this, bro. Don't you see that? It
Oh,
can't be done.
explain it the same way when I said it was reality. I only got you to accept that that's the way it would behave when I told you it was fantasy. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That
I
should
didn't
tell you
have to go
something.
into fantasy to explain it, though. I see.
What I'm arguing anyway is that the flow of water uphill is due to gravity. That's what I'm arguing.
Yeah, but one of those models
Yeah.
is a model that references gravity, right? That's referencing what gravity would be doing. The other model is not referencing what gravity would be doing. It's more or less you just having a base sphere ellipsoid and using that to reference elevation.
Yeah. And I'm saying that there are examples, right, of this happening, whether it's due to head pressure, capillary action. There'll be a differential of some sort, salinity, heat. These things can happen.
No heat.
Um,
Heat's
but
not a force, Mensa.
The other ones I mentioned definitely
Yeah,
are
I'll go along with that.
in contention.
Reflect
They're on the
siphons.
yeah, exactly right. And the capillary action one generally happens in narrower causeways rather than big wide open ones. You have to have very specific conditions for that to happen. But yeah, you definitely can get a head pressure build up. But the explanation for me behind it, like the gravity is actually pulling up and away and over the hill. Yeah, no, I don't buy that. But it can definitely happen with these other things. I definitely agree with that. So that's all I'm laughing at. It's the gravity aspect of it, Blue.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it definitely can happen.
That's
If you want an accurate GPS elevation, you've got to correct for both of these things. The
That's
first
true.
correction is the first elevation you get is from the ellipsoid, but that's not an accurate elevation above mean sea level necessarily. The geoid's actually just a deviation from the ellipsoid. So once the geoid's taken into account, then you get very accurate elevations.
Right. Is
Until
that called
then, you could be way off by 100 meters.
Where's the geoid measured from?
That much, Blue, 100 meters.
Yeah, your elevation can be off 100 meters with just
Gee.
using the ellipsoid.
Gee.
That's because it's a smooth. It's like a perfectly smooth ellipsoid.
Yeah,
Like I said,
yeah, it's assuming that the thing that it's representing is totally homogeneous, and it's not. That's the problem. Earth is
I don't
more dense
I
in
don't
areas
think
and
we
less
should
dense in
be
other areas.
I don't think we should be assigning any sexuality or gender to the shape of the earth there, Blue.
What did I do? Did I do that?
I'm just being silly with the homo thing. We were talking about gender before, and there apparently is 72 different genders. Did you know that, Blue?
yeah, Bansaw's having a hard time picking one.
Wow.
72.
Decisions, huh, Andy?
I know. Where do I start?
I don't know.
It's a smorgasbord of genders to choose from.
But do I get to try them out first, or is it like one and done? Shit.
Do you have a return policy?
I wasn't aware that you could legally change it. I didn't know that was a thing.
Like I said,
You can.
in Tasmania, you can legally choose no gender at all. You can be none. I don't know
Here
how
on the
they
passports, they have male, female, other.
Or choose
other.
not
Yeah,
choose
yeah.
not to disclose or something else.
Imagine how thick your passport would have to be, SE, if you had 72 options.
Yeah, you need a book.
It'd be
Yeah.
like an Encyclopedia Britannica.
I mean, it's got to be like Eric Dubé's 200 proofs, whereas there's 4 things in there, and the 197 of them are identical. You're like, oh, it's
Hey,
just the same thing over and over again.
that's a bit harsh, Kosho. Come on.
Not a bit harsh. He's
That's
got
a bit
200 of them. There's only 72 genders. He's
a
kind
bit
of
harsh.
he kind of went a bit far, man. I mean, have you seen his 200 proofs before?
Never. Actually, never.
Well, you're spoiler alert. Most of them are the same. It's just the same thing, just different examples of the same thing.
I don't know. Have you seen an SE?
Yeah, it's been a while, to be honest with you. Years. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never had the pleasure.
Here's it summed up in a couple of words. We think we see too far.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a pretty good start.
Well, there's 200 of them, so.
Yeah, so how did you put 72 genders, and how did that in your brain work out to Eric Dubé and 200?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because in the case of 72, I don't know what those genders are, but I have a very small brain, and I'm not that creative sometimes. So my brain's telling me that they're probably